Hi guys, this is the Betamax Man, and I'm going to be working on one of two of my Sony HF1000s, and this is basically the holy grail of all betas. This is the best Betamax VCR ever made. In fact, it's the best VCR ever made by any company. So let me show you just exactly some of the problems I'm having. This particular machine, I'm having problems with the rewind. It's not rewinding. Sometimes if it warms up a little bit and it's played a tape for 15-20 minutes, then the rewind seems to work a little bit better. But I am wondering if the upper drum is the cause of my rewind issue. So I'm going to address the upper drum before I do any other kind of testing. But I'm thinking the upper drum is really shiny, and I think that the tape is sticking to the upper drum, which is causing the rewind issue. So let's put a tape in and see if we can get it to have an issue. So I've got a tape here that I don't really care if it gets chewed or anything. It's not going to get chewed, but I'm just saying that if it did get chewed, it's not one that I'm going to be upset about. Now this is also a Scotch tape too, and Scotch tapes are known for having stiction problems, but we're gonna have to probably fast forward it here. Now let's fast forward it. Seems to do just fine with fast forward. It seems to be the rewind that it's struggling, so let's see if we can get it to struggle on the rewind so we can do a demonstration. Okay, so if we hit rewind, this is exactly what's happening. We hit rewind and it wants to stop. So if we hit rewind, it's having trouble. So that's the issue. That's what we're having a problem with. So I'm just wondering, is the upper drum causing the issue? Because that is a common issue with the Betamax machines, especially with this particular chassis, which is the 711B, which a lot of the Beta machines had this chassis. I actually prefer the later model chassis, the 711B3, because they went to a rotary encoder switch. They got rid of the plunger system, got rid of the solenoid, got rid of the plunger, and they went to a rotary encoder switch and a motor with a worm gear on it, and that worm gear drives another gear which drives the tape guide. It pulls the tape around the drum. Anyway, let's just see if we can get this problem solved. So with this particular machine being one of my main decks, a lot of times I'll use it for recording only, and it's got a whole lot of shine on it, a lot of sheen. So let's put this tape away. I'm just gonna put the tape down over here for now, and we'll take off. I've got the screws already off, and I leave the screws off because I've had some problems with this thing where the tape gets stuck, and sometimes I like to just clean the heads on it real quickly. It's a good way to just clean the heads real fast and put the cover back on. And I've got the screws somewhere, but I don't have screws on it. The only one that does have screws on it is my 750. 1000 typically keep the screws off of it. So let's go ahead and we'll take a good inspection here of the upper drum, and as you can see that there's quite a bit of sheen on this upper drum here. You can see that it's just super glossy, and it's actually supposed to be dull. Now this particular one has a rotary transformer on the top here, so I'm gonna have to take the rotary transformer off. See what we can do here, because this one does have more stuff on it, but we're gonna take it off here. So the first thing that we can do here is we'll get my number 1 Phillips here, and we'll take off the, let's see, we gotta take the screws off. I think I'm just gonna I forgot about this one having the rotary transformer. This is for the flying erase heads, so I forgot about that, but we can go ahead and take the screws out here, and it should be able to get this upper drum off here. And I'm not sure what's, this one's got just a little extra stuff on it, so yeah, so let's just take the screws off. And also what I'm gonna do here is just put them over here. I'm just gonna take the top. I gotta take this rotary transformer off because okay, yeah, this has got extra stuff on it, so okay. Then we take the, we'll unplug it here. This is for the flying erase heads. Now that we've got the wire unplugged, I'm going to go ahead and take the Torx. Okay, let's get the Torx there. Get my Torx screw. This is a T10, by the way. This is a Torx screw in the back here. So I've got to be ever so careful so I don't drop the screw. So, but you can see the upper drum is already loose. So, alright, we're going to do that. Alright, so this thing will come off, but I'm going to have to take these two top screws off. So let me get a smaller. It needs to be a number 0 Phillips, and I think that'll do. That'll do. We'll just take the I need 2 hands here. It's not hard to take them off. You know, it's just getting the right tools to do it with is the key. Oh yeah, I better unplug this thing too while I'm at it. Okay, so now we got that off. Now the upper drum is going to come right off. Yeah, I gotta take that off too. So I've got to take the 2 screws off here at the plastic. This plastic thing here, we got to take these 2 off, and once we do that, then we can get this plastic free from the drum here, and that'll release, and then I'll be able to get this drum off and give it a good cleaning. And it's not too much more difficult than regular, but we're just going to set that over there out of the way. We're going to put that over there. And now we can take our upper drum. Okay, you can see the shine where the tape rides up against it. See that? So you can really see it. Now, this gives you a good chance just to see just exactly. This is the rotary transformer up here at the top for the flying erase heads. Now you can distinctively see, ooh, looks like I just seen a piece of metal here break off. Luckily that wasn't the head itself, but yeah, there's just a slight break here on the metal here. I just seen a chunk fly off. Luckily the heads are okay, but you can see that it's got 2 heads, one here, and on the other side you've also got 2 video heads. Now luckily that wasn't the head itself that broke, but there was a piece of metal right beside it that broke, so that does concern me a little bit, but anyway, so that's what the heads look like on an SL HF1000. It's much different from the heads on another machine. Most of the beta machines, most of them were a 2-head, and some were 3 heads, and they only made a handful of 4-head model beta machines. And Sony actually made dual azimuth heads so they could get special effects on a 2-head, whereas with VHS they couldn't. VHS, they had to have an extra head to do the perfect freeze frame and the slow motion, and Sony was able to do it with the SL2500. The SL2500 has a dual azimuth head. They're 2-head machine, but they're dual azimuth, and that allows it to have perfect pause and frame by frame. It's really interesting. So you can see there's also some coils on the top here, on the very top. So these coils have to do with the flying erase head. So this is part of the flying erase head. So now the heads, you know, are the same in the 900. The 900 and the 750. Those two models have 4 heads as well. This is the 1000, the 750, the 900, the GCS50. Those all had 4 heads. Now the GCS50 has flying erase heads as well. In fact, I was gonna sell the GCS50 for $200, but I don't think I will, because now I'm remembering that that one has flying erase heads. So we're just gonna clean the upper drum here, and I'll show you what I'm gonna use to clean the upper drum. It's pretty simple to put this thing back on. If we want to go ahead and put it back on, we'll just simply just put the drum back on there, on the top there, and you just put the screws back in, and it'll be just fine. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. So I got some paper towels. What I'm going to do is get a green scuff pad. I bought a couple of these today, just for the purpose of doing this. And try not to drop my green sponge. So I'm going to put a little bit of Lysol on this paper towel. And I'm going to wet the head drum, and I'm going to use this to scuff up. So we're just going to scuff it with a scuff pad here. Now I'm not going to use all of it, I'm just going to use a piece of it. I'm just going to cut a little piece off and use it. So let me get my thing here. I've got some original Lysol mixed up. This is just the Lysol concentrate. You put about 2 capfuls in, and the rest will fill it with water, and it does perfectly for a spray bottle this size. I just got this special end on there, so I can just dab it on the cloth here, because I want to get this wet. Then I'm going to scuff it, and then I'm going to get it wet again. I'm going to clean it. So with the Lysol and the scuff pad, should be able to get a nice result on cleaning it. So cleaning that upper drum, you can see that there's a lot of sheen on there. So I'm going to get this thing cleaned up and get it ready to go back on, and we're going to install it back on the machine, and we'll see if we have our rewind come back. We'll see if it's the drum that's causing the problem. So I'm just going to get a little bit on here and we'll go to town. I think this will be a good angle, and I'm just, let's see, we'll just cut a piece of this off here. We'll cut some of the green pad off here. I'm just gonna small piece just like that. And I just got a small little piece. Don't take a lot. We'll just put a little bit of this Lysol on here, and this will clean that up real good. So that should do a really good job cleaning this drum up. So we'll just do a little cleaning here. We'll just clean it. Just want to get it nice and wet. And nice and wet here. Yeah, even just the Lysol itself is starting to really clean. So now I'm just gonna take a little green pad and I'm just gonna scuff it up a little bit just to make it dull. Probably didn't even need to wet it, but I'm just going to do it kind of dry. But I just wanted to get any of the loose dirt and debris off of the drum there. As you can actually see here, I'll show you in a minute here, but it's taking it right off real quickly actually. It's doing a real good job here. Getting that sheen off, getting all that crud off, and I recommend doing this to the upper drum because, but you do need to be somewhat skilled on working on these. I mean, it's not hard to take the drum off, but when you go to put it back on, you got to be careful when you're doing it, because you got to make sure that you get your gap in there is correct when you go to put it back on. Just make sure you know, kind of hard to explain, but yeah, you need to have some knowledge and a little bit of skill when you're doing stuff like this, but you know, as far as actually taking it off, it's pretty easy, you know. It's real easy. So I'm going to go all the way around the drum here. And see, they used to replace the drum whenever a drum would come in with this issue. I was talking to a couple of people that were in the business back in the 80s, and they said that usually what they would do is just replace the upper drum when it had this problem. And so they would order it from Sony, and they would put it on and charge a couple $100 labor to do it. So all that sheen is off. I suppose I've done it now enough to where I don't really need to keep doing it. But. And don't worry, a green scuff pad is not too abrasive, so you obviously don't want to do it with sandpaper, because sandpaper is going to be way too abrasive. And it's going to be too aggressive. So green scuff pad works just fine. I would not do a gray scuff pad, because gray scuff pads is a little bit more aggressive than the green. Same with the brown. Those are more or less for stripping stuff. We're just trying to clean and get the sheen off. So I'm just going to finish doing this all the way around. Even on the back side, even though the back side doesn't see the tape at all, it doesn't have anything contacted, I'm just going to do it in here. just to make it all even, I guess. So we're just gonna... So we'll see if this does anything, because if it does, that'll be great. If not, well, then the problem is going to be elsewhere. And what will actually happen is that it might be the Hall effect device has failed. And that's what I'm thinking that it might be. This may not cure it at all. It may just be the... might just be the Hall effect device has failed on it. And I wouldn't surprise me if it was. Or it could be a couple of bad capacitors too. You know, I know that caps do cause quite a bit of issues, so had somebody was commenting on how they were working on their beta machine, and several capacitors that they've tested were good, which is awesome. It's good that he didn't have to replace any. That's always good news. But I was thinking that, you know, they used Nichicon, and Nichicon were really good capacitors. They're very high-grade capacitors. They last a long, long time. And then you have the Elnas and the Sanyo caps. Those usually they go bad, but the Elnas they go bad more than any of the other brands. But I'm wondering, like, well, they must have used Nichicon then on your on that machine, because I've found some machines I've been working on. I had a customer had one, brought it to me, had Elnas in it, and most of them were bad. Replaced them, and the machine worked great. But by the time I got done changing all the bad ones, he had 2 hours labor charged to him. So okay, so this drum looks really good now. We took all the sheen off, so there's no shine on it left at all. So the tape's not gonna stick to anything. I'm just gonna use the Lysol now to clean the upper drum. And when I put the upper drum back on, what I am going to do is use a little bit of alcohol and clean the whole entire drum, the upper drum and lower, with some alcohol, because my fingers are on this. Wow, look at all that dirt. Look at that dirt. All that dirt came off of the head drum. So I bet you that was probably the reason why that it's not rewinding good. So, okay, this is going to be it. I'm going to pretty much put this drum back on now. I'm going to very carefully put this thing back on. Just be careful not to hit your heads, because you just gotta be real careful. Okay, so I'm gonna put my screws back in, and we'll get those in. So we've got these two screws here. We'll put them back in. I'm just gonna put them in kind of loosely and get it all lined up. to use a number 2 Phillips for tightening these, but I'm just gonna get everything where, you know, where it needs to be, and then I'll do the adjustments if needed. Yeah. All right. Let's get that on. Be careful not to cross thread, and that's what I'm going to run into here if I'm not careful. Just making sure I'm not cross threading anything. Now, I was able to go to the Winco today. Went to Winco and I found some mellow yellow. So the mellow yellow is going to be drank. You know, like I've had a couple of them already for dinner, and I was pretty happy to find those. Yeah, this one screw is kind of giving me some trouble, so I'm going to swap this screw out for the other side, because I'm wondering if it would be better to just, so I'm just going to put the screw, change sides, because that one screw is not, doesn't seem to be going in very well. Let's get this one in. Yeah, just put them in, and I would recommend putting your top 2 screws in and tightening them down a little bit. Not too tight, because they are going into aluminum, so you can strip them out real easily. So just got to be careful, and slowly, just turn the head slowly, just to make sure that it's not going to hit anything. But this is not a hard thing to do. I mean, it's on the difficulty level on the meter from 1 to 10. This is probably a 3, maybe a 4. It's not difficult, but you just got to pay attention and make sure, like I said, do a dry run after you get these top screws in, just to make sure that that head is not hitting anything. And we're going to turn it counterclockwise. Just make sure it's not hitting anything. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my Torx screw back in, and that goes into the back there. So get that. Get that Torx screw in there. I'm just gonna snug it real nice and snug. That way it's, and do another test turn just to make sure. So we've got the the torque screws in and the drum is secure. The next thing we got to do, put the top piece on here, and the two screws, see these little threads here, that's where the screws come out of here. So we're just gonna put this back on. We'll match up the screw holes, put the screws in, and then this will be done. So we'll just set the camera down here, and you guys will just have to take my word for it that I'm putting them in the right area. Like I said, you'll be able to see the screw holes, and this is a number 0, a 00 Phillips head. Okay, and these are little guys too, so they're very little. And I'm just gonna, I've got a magnetized screwdriver, so those screwdrivers with the magnetic tips, really nice. And it would be good to do my bottom drum, but I don't think the bottom drum's gonna be the main cause. It's mainly the upper drum that has the issues. So we've got that on now, we've got this on in place. So next thing we need to do is take our plastic guides here. This just goes on just like this, and then we'll just put our screws back in. So they just go in like that. So we'll put those in. Let me just camera down here, and I just kind of trying to show you guys just what's involved and what you need to do to clean your upper drum. I mean, we already did do a removal. We did show you how to remove the top drum in the previous video, but and these are going into aluminum, so you don't want to go too tight. Just got to be careful. But this is actually a guide, and this actually keeps the tape from riding up too high. So without this on there, that tape will just ride up high, and then it puts the alignment out. So this is something that has to go back on, and you have to do it correctly. And I'm going to get a number 2 screwdriver just to snug them up here, because they're actually a number 2 head. There we go. And then I'm just going to do a test run here, just to make sure that the heads are okay, that they're not hitting, and everything is kosher, copacetic. Okay, that's it. The only thing we have left to do is to take our connector and reconnect the flying erase head. Now, if you've got a 2-head model, if you're not working on a 4-head machine, you don't have to worry about connecting the wire, because on the 2 heads there's nothing up here to connect. So, but this is a so you gotta be careful, because these The wires can pull out of the sockets. I mean, if the wire does end up pulling out of the socket, you'll have to, you know, put them back in, and there we go. Okay. So that's it. So you can see that our upper drum now is nice and dull, and that's what we want. We don't want that shine. Now, this 1000 has had a lot of use. This thing has been used a lot when I received it. I mean, I obviously bought them used. But this one had a lot of wear and tear on it. And then I used the hell out of this thing. I use this thing like a couple times a week, you know, sometimes 3 times a week. You know, I don't watch beta tapes that often. You know, I like to watch them a couple times a week just to keep everything running good. Because if a VCR just sits and does nothing, it will deteriorate. So you've got to use your machines. Even if you're only going to use it for 10 minutes out of the whole day, you know, just put your tapes in it, keep these machines running, keep the lubricant, you know, when the machines are playing, you know, that keeps everything working good. And yes, if something sits, if something just sits for years and years, they fall apart. I was talking to a guy that said that he had a beta machine that had been sitting for, you know, 20 plus years, had been sitting around, and he pulled it out, and he said that he replaced the voltage regulator, because he said he watched one of my videos on how to do that. So that was great that he was able to, you know, and he thanked me, and I want to say, hey, you're welcome, and thank you for, you know, watching my video, and I'm just glad I was able to help people. I mean, that's not the first time I've been able to help people, and, you know, sometimes I can't help people, but I try. You know, I don't claim to be a professional. I'm just a hobbyist, you know. I just do this as a hobby, just fun. It's just fun for me. I love working on these old betas. To me, it's really fun, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of working on them. So, if I can help somebody, you know, that's great. But I was telling them that, you know, I would recommend doing a full servicing on it, you know, on the real table motor assembly. I was just, you know, basically telling them, well, I've done some demonstration videos on how to service the bottom end, and servicing the bottom end covers the real table motor, and I show you guys what to clean and put a little bit of oil in there and lubricate, you know, the areas that need to be lubricated, you know, like the take up and supply reels, you know, because they ride on a shaft, a post. I call it a post, but they just ride on a post, and that post needs to be cleaned and put a drop of oil on there, keep it lubricated, and that keeps the reels lubricated. Also, I talk about cleaning the capstan. Just, you know, if your machine's been sitting for a while, he was going to do a lot of archiving. He had a lot of tapes he wanted to archive over to digital. Well, he's probably going to put them on DVD. You know, DVD is, I'm not a huge fan of DVD, but when you have something like old tapes and you need to get them digitized, putting them on a DVD is probably the best way to do it, because it's physical media. The thing I don't like about DVD is that DVD it can scratch so easily. DVDs, they really do scratch easily, and it doesn't take much to make them not play. So I would still keep a digital file even though you put them on a DVD. I'd still keep a digital copy of it in a file on a thumb drive, hard drive, external hard drive, whatever you've got. I would still keep a digital copy of the transfer, you know, so that you got them, you know, or keep the tapes too. But the tapes do deteriorate over time. They don't deteriorate as fast as some people would like you to think. Everybody makes you think that your tapes are gonna completely go out on you, and I mean, tapes do degrade over time, and yes, they will get to a point where they'll no longer be able to be used, but they're not as fragile as people think they are. Here it is 30 plus years, and I've got movies on beta. In fact, movies on that shelf and on these shelves, and they still play fine. They play back perfectly, you know, and they're 30 plus year old tapes. They're as old as I am, or older, and you know, so they're not as, you know, fragile, or they don't deteriorate as fast as what some would have you believe. But anyway, so next thing we'll do here is I'll plug it in. We'll see if maybe by doing that, I'm hoping that it took care of business. But I am gonna get I think I'll get a Q-tip here and get some alcohol, and I'll clean that upper drum with some alcohol, just because I've been touching it with my fingers. So I've got it plugged in. We're just gonna see if we get our rewind back. Yeah, let's just see what we got here. So it's got a different issue. So the drum, it was not the issue. So we definitely got an issue in the rewind. We're gonna have to address that. So yeah. But it forwards okay. It's the rewind that we've got a problem with. So we just need to fix the rewind issue, and once we do that, it should be just fine. So we got to figure out what's causing the. I'm gonna try to find out what's causing the rewind issue, because I was kind of hoping that this was gonna solve the problem, but thinking about it, after it warms up a while, if it plays for a little while, it'll do just fine. It'll rewind a little bit. It won't rewind very fast. So I'm just wondering, either it's a capacitor issue, or it's a Hall effect device problem. Now, I do have a Hall effect device. I actually have parts for these things. So I've got a reel table motor that I could rob the idler motor out of. Could be the idler motor or the Hall effect device that makes the motor work. So we do got an issue there. I'm not quite sure what the issue is. So, but we don't got rewind still. So, still got a problem. But hey, at least I was able to show you guys how to take the drum off and clean it, and they do have a little bit more difficulty as far as with the 1000s, because they've got the extra stuff on top. It's got the flying erase heads. So anyway, but we're gonna see what we can do, and get this rewind working. So I want to get the rewind working on this thing. It is one of my main recorders, so you know. Anyway, but yeah, we'll get it. So that'll be it on this video. Basically, this video was just cleaning the upper drum and seeing if that would solve the problem, and it didn't. It's a problem elsewhere, and I was wondering if it was a issue elsewhere, because like I said, if it warms up a little bit, it'll rewind a little bit. See, if this thing was playing for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you could hit stop and it would rewind. It won't rewind it not as fast. It still won't rewind it as fast as it's supposed to, but it would rewind it. So that does kind of make me think that it is a capacitor issue, and there's capacitors that do control the motor, and if those have went bad, which they probably have, that could cause it too. So I'll try replacing those caps, and we'll see if doing that might give us the rewind back, but it could very well be a Hall effect device. Okay, so before I end the video, those of you who are wondering, hey, does this thing still work after you've done all that? Well, of course it works. No question. But just so you guys know that it still works, we're going to get the tape out here, put it in the player, because sometimes people's minds start to wonder, you know, hey, does this guy really know what he's doing, or did he just mess it up? Well, you got to remember, all we were doing was the upper drum. We weren't doing any kind of head removal, you know. So the alignment's not going to be off or anything like that, because we didn't take the head out. So, you know, but on these, the heads are designed in such a way to where you could take the heads out and put them right back, solder them right back in, and they'd be fine. It was a 710 chassis that you had to have a special tool, a micrometer, to work on it, but we'll show you guys, just for you guys that are curious. Alright, play. There you go. So, remember, we didn't take the head out or anything like that. We were just messing with the upper drum. So, let's just see if it'll rewind. Nope, still has a problem with that. So, we are going to have to take a look at the rewind issue. I do want to see what's going on there and find out, but we're going to use this player to, probably use this to, oh, this one's unplugged. Oh, I forgot to plug it back in. I gotta plug it back into the 1000. Anyway, I'm gonna rewind the tape, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.